Judge Lake addresses Mr. Pendleton about his claim of being unable to father children. He confirms this claim, adding tension to the case as he disputes the paternity of Ms. Cotton's daughter.
Mr. Pendleton, you are here today with your mother, and you both believe that it's impossible that you fathered Ms. Cotton's daughter because you claim you are unable to have children.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Cotton accuses Mr. Pendleton's mother of meddling and influencing her son's denial of paternity. She expresses frustration towards the mother's interference, emphasizing the impact on Mr. Pendleton's responsibilities.
First of all, I just want to say his mother needs to mind her business. Like, at the end of the day, Darren is a grown man, and I understand he's a mom boy or however she treats him because that's your child, dandy. But he's a grown man now, and he needs to stand up and take care of his responsibility. Like, my daughter looks exactly like him, and I really cannot figure out how he denies her.
Mr. Pendleton denies resemblance between himself and the child, stressing his previous long-term relationship that did not result in pregnancy. This raises doubts about his fertility and the child's paternity.
Your Honor, she don't look nothing like me. She don't got none of my features. You know, my nose, my mouth, my eyes, nothing. And on spite of that, I've been in a relationship for 8 years prior to this. Tried for 6 years to have a baby and couldn't. So.
But he thinks my daughter looks like his father. So talking about.
Child looks like you.
A heated exchange occurs where Ms. Cotton insists Mr. Pendleton's mother is planting doubts in his mind, influencing his denial of their daughter. This highlights the emotional and familial complexities.
And you say it's his mother, she's meddling, and she's the one that is putting this notion in his head that not love biological father.
Well, she said she was with another man at the same time.
What was the nature of this relation? Committed, or what were you
we were together, separated, but we were still having sex.
Mr. Pendleton expresses his doubts about the child's paternity after Ms. Cotton's admission of sleeping with another man during their relationship. This revelation adds to the uncertainty and mistrust between them.
But when she got pregnant, she told me she was pregnant. Like 2 weeks later, she called me and said it's impossible, you know, that the baby might not be mine. So if you call me and tell me that, then I'm not supposed to believe that the baby's 100% mine.
I slept with one person in April.
So like she told me it was once.
One time.
But how can I believe you?
We were not together.
When
so
I'm
at the end of the day, I'm not gonna do whatever I want.
So how are you 100% sure?
The judge questions the reliability of Ms. Cotton's assertion that she is 100% sure of the paternity, especially after learning that protection was removed during her encounter with another man.
It was protected until he took the condom off.
And that would be unprotected.
But she's 100% sure. So how can you be 100% sure if the guy, because allegedly she looked like me, but she a baby. She ain't got her features yet. You know, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. She beautiful, like she gorgeous, but I can't, you know, she a baby. Babies don't start developing.
Ms. Cotton reveals she was pregnant by Mr. Pendleton twice, increasing the stakes and emotional weight of the paternity test. This claim surprises the court and adds depth to her relationship history with Mr. Pendleton.
Pregnant in October.
October? You just said March. Like, which one is it?
And had a miscarriage. Please don't sit here and try to play me like I didn't carry your baby the first time. This is what we're not going to do.
Well, how do we know your miscarriage was his?
The whole paternity is between me and him, but you subject yourself into it, so what are you saying?
Mr. Pendleton, you are the father.
Strap in for this wild start. Mr. Runnels kicks off the proceedings by sharing his lifelong medical condition, which convinced him he'd never hear the pitter-patter of little feet. Yet here he is, claiming his daughter Ireland is nothing short of a miracle, despite Ms. Taylor's bombshell assertion that he isn't the father.
Mr. Runnels, you claim a lifelong medical condition led you to believe you would never a father. That was until the birth of your daughter, who you claim is your miracle baby. Defendant says you are not the father. You are here to prove that miracles really do happen.
Yes, Your Honor.
Here comes a twist that'll make your head spin. Mr. Runless lays it all on the line, emphasizing the miraculous nature of potentially having a daughter. On the flip side, Ms. Taylor, with a heavy heart, admits to infidelity and suggests another man is the real father. As you reel from this revelation, the upcoming segment turns up the drama even more.
Mr. Runnels, why is this test so important to you?
This test is so important to me. For me to be able to have a daughter, it's a miracle.
Yes, Your Honor.
You say you want miracle too.
Yes.
But you just don't.
No, I don't.
This is the case.
Brace yourself for some medical lingo. Mr. Runlees delves into his diagnosis of hypospadias, where things aren't quite where they should be, leading to multiple fruitless surgeries. His fertility hanging by a thread has shadowed his entire life. If you're curious about how this shakes out, the following details will definitely pique your interest.
Called a hypospadias. All it is it's where the hole in the penis is in the wrong spot. Instead of being up top, more towards the bottom of the head. The doctor just said that it's a big ability that I may never be able to have kids if the surgeries don't take.
Oh, and so you actually actually had surgeries for
Yes,
this
I've had
condition
like 4.
to try to correct this particular issue.
And none of them's worked, closed back up, and the original hole opened back up.
Get ready for the emotional roller coaster to hit a steep drop. Ms. Taylor confesses to stepping out on Mr. Runless, sparking a fiery debate over who Ireland's real daddy is. The plot thickens as Mr. Runless discovers the betrayal through a Facebook deep dive, adding layers to their already complex relationship.
We had unprotected sex. We tried for so many times to have it, nothing was working, so then I decided to go and do something different. A guy I had actually known for a little while.
Her original story, because like I said, like this is a miracle baby to me. You know, this is, bottom line is, this don't work. If this is not my kid, there's not no more to it.
Actually, I told the other guy on Facebook that I might be pregnant, it could be his baby, and I told him to.
Just when you think you've got a handle on it, there's more. Despite doubts about his biological tie to Ireland, Mr. Runless is her legal daddy, fully involved and bracing for whatever the DNA test throws his way. This mix of law and emotion sets the stage for even more unexpected turns.
Because up until that, you believed you were the father, and this was your miracle child.
Legally, I am the father.
How far along was she when you found out, or was baby Ireland already here when you broke it?
I was about 22 weeks when he found out.
I was through the hospital appointments, all pregnancy, ran her when she needed it. I went to the door when she wanted something, you know, I was there.
This segment is a real heart-tugger. As the courtroom drama unfolds, Mr. Runless pledges his unwavering commitment to Ireland, irrespective of the test's outcome. He lays bare the emotional and legal ties that bind him to her. You won't want to miss what happens next as the tension ramps up to a whole new level.
Your Honor, I was at the hospital. The other guy was not by our choice. I requested to have a DNA test done at the hospital, but I left in minutes to go outside, get some fresh air or whatever, and I came back up, talked to Miss Taylor to see if she had talked to the doctors about getting one done, and she said no, that she wasn't going to do it. When we got home, I was like, why? Because I don't want you to leave me.
This is where it gets really crunchy. The core issue of Mr. Runless's potential biological fatherhood is spotlighted amid his medical complexities and their impact on his self-perception and relationship dynamics. As this key chapter unfolds, the next revelation is set to be a total game changer.
You are here today to determine if you are biological father. Why is it so important to you to establish that you are also the biological father?
I've never gotten into my medical disorder. You know, I've never been into it. I've never made myself 100% of exactly what was going on. You know, in my heart, knowing for so long that I've never had a kid. I'm trying to have a kid since I've been 18 years old. Just something I need to.
Things are heating up. The possible fallout from the DNA results threatens to upheave Mr. Runless's relationship with both Ireland and Ms. Taylor. If the child isn't his, he's poised to walk away, showing just how much is riding on this outcome. Stay tuned, because what comes next is sure to throw you for a loop.
I want her to have the best future she can have. I don't want my daughter to have no father. I want the best for her. I want her to have an understanding childhood. I want her to go to college, you know, everything. She needs a father to be able to have a shoulder when mommy's not around. I just feel like if she had know who her real dad is, 18, she won't hate me as much either. Because she'll be like, well, at least you went up and you did all this for me. You went and did a DNA to prove to me to show me who the real father was.
Here's the moment of truth. Brace for impact.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Runnels, you are her father.
Yes.
Buckle up for this roller coaster. Mr. Lloyd kicks things off with a bombshell, asserting with full confidence that he is the true biological father of Ms. Rayleigh's daughter, Courtney Marie Grimes. He recounts how he was initially duped into believing he was the dad, only to be stunned by the revelation of another potential father lurking in the background. The courtroom is charged with tension as he sets the stage for a drama-filled quest for truth.
Mr. Lloyd, you are in court today to prove that you are the biological father of the defendant's 1.5-year-old daughter, Marie Grimes. You claim the defendant led you to believe that you were father, only to have a bomb dropped on you that another man was her dad.
Yes, Your Honor.
Hold on to your seats. In a swift counter, Ms. Rayleigh throws a curveball by adamantly denying Mr. Lloyd's claims, insisting he is not Courtney's father. She confidently promises to prove her case today, stirring up a whirlwind of intrigue and conflict in the courtroom. This spicy exchange just sets the scene for more jaw-dropping moments ahead.
Ms. Rayleigh, you say you are 100% sure that Mr. Lloyd is not Courtney's biological father and prove your case in court today.
Yes, Your Honor.
Just when you thought it couldn't get more dramatic, the court delves into the emotionally charged moment Ms. Rayleigh revealed her pregnancy to Mr. Lloyd. Overflowing with excitement at the prospect of fatherhood, Mr. Lloyd recalls his joy, which soon becomes clouded by doubts and uncertainty due to Ms. Rayleigh's ambiguous remarks about who the real father could be.
When she tells you pregnant, she comes to you and says what exactly?
We was actually sitting in her room, we was talking. She started crying and said, pregnant. I was excited, this is my first child. Take up the responsibility. Grimes' life. I already had doubt. I knew of this guy. So the third month, I take her mom out to eat. We just nipped it in the bud like, this your baby.
You won't see this twist coming. During a crucial dinner that was supposed to clear the air, Ms. Rayleigh appears to affirm Mr. Lloyd's paternity, only to flip the script months later as Courtney's birth neared, plunging Mr. Lloyd into a vortex of confusion and betrayal. The revelation sends shockwaves through the courtroom, and guess what? It only gets wilder from here.
Well, Your Honor, I was 9 pregnant when I found out I was pregnant. That's when the doubting and everything, I said, well, 9 weeks ago, I wasn't with Mr. Lloyd at all. I was with Mr. Grimes. It was around Super Bowl, which was in February the 2nd, is the day that they trying to say I was conceiving between the 2nd, I believe the 6th. I wasn't around Mr. Lloyd at the time they had gave me my conceiving date.
Are you ready for this turn? In a revealing confession, Mr. Lloyd discusses his decision to distance himself after doubting his paternity, only to be drawn back by Ms. Rayleigh's persistent uncertainties about the baby's real dad. His recount of this back and forth adds layers of complexity to their tumultuous relationship.
Like the last 4 months, the 7th, 8th month, I left. I said, I'm done with it. This is not my baby. I moved to Indiana. I stayed down there for like a month. I get a phone call. I have doubt. I think the baby was even born. She was like, her baby and mother knows. That's what she told me. That's what made me come back and try to continue on, be there for my daughter.
You might want to sit down for this one. In a bizarre and almost theatrical confrontation, both potential fathers, Mr. Lloyd and Mr. Grimes, team up in a surprising sting operation to confront Ms. Rayleigh for the truth. This high-stakes showdown adds a dose of absurdity and desperation to the mix, illustrating just how tangled and fraught the situation has become.
I got my whole family calling me like, why is it another man with your daughter Paige talking about daddy's baby? Like I said, I got doubts. I mean, she look like him, she got my nose, she look like both of us, you ask me, but...
Who's paying child support to help support this baby? You don't have to pay child support.
I still come out of pocket whatever I want to.
Support is, but it also can just be done personally between the parents.
Get ready for the climax!
It has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Lloyd.
Buckle up for this one. Miss McCrary kicks off the court drama by requesting a DNA test to prove that Mr. Goodson is the father of her 18-month-old daughter, Arian. She lays out her frustrations and emphasizes the need to sort out the paternity today. Her emotional plea sets the stage for a fiery exchange.
Ms. McCrary, you have petitioned the court for a DNA test to prove that the defendant is the father of your miracle baby, 18-month-old Arian McCrary.
Yes, Your Honor.
You claim that Goodson has done enough for your daughter, but today that's going change.
And the plot thickens. Mr. Goodson claps back with a denial of paternity, claiming he's not the father of Miss McCrary's child and expressing his refusal to take responsibility for a child he believes isn't his. His firm stance cranks up the tension in the courtroom. Watch out for the next twist.
Mr. Goodson, you say the plaintiff has brought the wrong man to court and you refuse to do anything for a child who is not biologically yours.
Yes, Your Honor.
Talk about awkward. Miss McCrary recounts a painful episode where Mr. Goodson allegedly ignored her and their daughter in a store, illustrating the personal and emotional depth of their dispute over paternity. The atmosphere gets even more charged from here.
He was in the store. He was with his other family. If I see you with your teenage children, you walk past us, how would that make you feel?
Mr. Goodson, did you walk past Arian in the store, not even acknowledge her at all?
Actually seen each other at the same time. She was coming and I was going toward the checkout. She was going, I guess, to get an item or something.
Things are getting juicy. Mr. Goodson lays out his suspicions about Miss McCrary's fidelity, questioning her loyalty, and describing how her secretive behavior fueled his doubts about being the father. His recount adds a layer of intrigue to the drama.
Yes, Your Honor. We just was friends hanging out and thought, I developed a couple of feelings for her. So I was like, what she had.
A couple feelings.
So,
you developed feelings for her.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you all ever us making this thing a committed relationship?
When she disappeared, when I brought the subject up, that's when she disappeared on me. Tried to start a relationship with her, she disappeared on me.
Detail alert. Miss McCrary vividly recounts the specific night she believes was the moment of conception, providing a play-by-play of their dinner and evening activities. Her detailed memory aims to cement her certainty about the paternity. Brace yourself for Mr. Goodson's reaction to the pregnancy news. It's a doozy.
We hadn't had protected sex. So come on, at the end of the day, when it's all said and done that night, how was it? You tell me, because it was great.
Bottom line is you all were in a sexual relationship and you remember it down to the extra chicken and
the extra chicken, Your Honor, the extra cheese, the extra lick.
Here comes a curveball. When Miss McCrary breaks the pregnancy news, Mr. Goodson's reaction is filled with skepticism and a hint of disbelief, especially upon learning that she might have been involved involved with others during that time. His reaction brings a new level of complexity to their relationship issues.
Like I said, about 3 to 4 months, then all of a sudden I get a call and say, hey, you know, I'm pregnant. And so I was, you know, my expression was like, you know, well, why are you telling me? And she had told me that, you know, she had been, you know, sleeping with someone else.
When's that part?
I can't remember the exact discussion we was having, but I know it came to the point about, you know, seeing other people. Then she say, well, I had been sleeping with.
A critical moment unfolds. Mr. Goodson visits the hospital days after Arian's birth, acknowledging her beauty, but keeping his emotional distance due to his past experiences with paternity issues. This visit opens up old wounds and sets the stage for the emotional climax.
I went down to the hospital, I think like the second day after she was born. You know, I seen her, you know, she was a beautiful baby. She was a beautiful little girl. I know kids can, you know, they'll come out light and eventually they'll get darker and look like.
You've been through a paternity issue before.
Yes, Your Honor.
Was it determined that you were the father or you were not?
I was not the father.
You were not.
After 4 years.
The moment of truth arrives with a bang.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Goodson, you are the father.
Oh, okay.
Can you believe we're diving into this drama? The case of Alexander versus Washington kicks off as Jerome ushers in the proceedings and the participants exchange greetings with the judge. Mr. Alexander steps up with a bold claim that he's Miss Washington's biological dad, and he's not just a little bit sure, he's all in. Miss Washington, on the other hand, throws a curveball of doubt, having never even heard her supposed dad's name from her mom.
This is a case of Alexander versus Washington.
Mr. Alexander, you claim the defendant's mother led you to believe that no other man except you could be Miss Washington's biological father. Are 100% certain plan to prove that today. Ms. Washington, you say you don't believe that Mr. Alexander is your biological father because your mother never mentioned his name.
You won't believe the conviction here. Mr. Alexander doubles down, 100% convinced that he is Miss Washington's father, citing his past relationship with her mother, who allegedly confirmed his sole paternity. He recounts the heart-tugging moment of hearing the voice of the daughter he never knew, searching through social media to reconnect. His mix of hope and melancholy paints a complex picture of lost years and the quest for closure. And just when you think you've heard it all, the next turn takes the emotional stakes even higher.
So, Mr. Alexander, you say you are 100% sure you are the father.
Because her mother led me to believe that in the time that together that I'm the only man that she ever has associated with it.
You were the only man that she was intimate. What else did her mother say?
She said that I was the father of her child.
Oh, you were led to believe that and you never believed anything different?
No, ma'am, I didn't, Your Honor.
This part just throws another layer of spice into the mix. Miss Washington is not holding back, unpacking her skepticism and the emotional turmoil tied to Mr. Alexander's decades-long absence, popping up out of the blue when she was already rocking a full-grown adult life at 29. She vividly describes the jarring moment a stranger called claiming to be her dad, throwing her whole understanding of her family into a whirlwind. Her reaction is raw and packed with a struggle to mesh this new reality with her lifelong beliefs.
Contacted me at 29. Like, you missed out. If I was, you would have been there. Not at 29. And now I'm 42.
Can you take me to the day you first heard about Mr. Alexander?
I was about 29 years old. One night my phone rang. I answered and he's like, I'm looking for Tish. And I'm like, this? And he's like, I'm your dad. No, you're not. Like, I never heard of.
In a twist worthy of a soap opera, witness Larry White steps into the spotlight, testifying that he was the matchmaker who introduced Mr. Alexander to Miss Washington's mom. He drops the bomb that not only did he make the introduction, but he later found out they had a child together, news to him at the time. This revelation adds a juicy layer of drama, backing up Mr. Alexander's claims and injecting more credibility into his story. Keep your eyes peeled because the courtroom drama escalates from here.
Can you tell the court about the relationship you had with Miss Washington's mother? How did you meet?
We met through a friend of mine named Larry, this gentleman right here. He introduced me to.
Your witness?
Yes, ma'am.
Alexander has just testified that you introduced him to Miss Washington's mother.
I did. I knew her, Annie, and I owned a restaurant in Phoenix, Arizona.
Just when you think it couldn't get more tangled, the court delves into the sticky web of DNA testing, especially complicated by Miss Washington's medical history, including a bone marrow transplant. This segment highlights the tricky nature of paternity tests when medical conditions could skew the results, casting doubt on earlier tests and paving the way for an intense investigative twist by the court. The next revelation is about to drop, and trust me, it's a doozy.
I picked him up. They told us in 2 to 3 days they'll let us know. 3 weeks went by and I haven't heard anything. I called her back. I'm like, okay, so what is it? And so she said he wasn't.
And then she says, I'm sorry, he's not your father.
Yes.
Understanding why the DNA test was so important. And do you remember her telling you that they called back and the lab said that you were not her biological father?
This is the big reveal. Grab your tissues.
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Alexander, you are not the father. I'm very sorry, Miss Washington.
Buckle up for this one. Mr. Wilson drops a bombshell accusation that Ms. Dean was cavorting with other men in his very home, an act he deems utterly scandalous. The audience can hardly believe their ears and gasps aloud. Mr. Wilson confirms this jaw-dropper to the judge.
Mr. Wilson, you've opened your case today to prove that Ms. Dean's 17-month-old daughter, Jakaya, is not biological child. You say you moved her into your home, laid out the red carpet, only to find out she was rolling around other men in your home.
Yes, Your Honor.
You won't see this twist coming. Ms. Dean fires back, claiming Mr. Wilson is the rightful dad to her daughter despite his recent cold shoulder. She passionately argues her case, saying his denial is tearing both her and the child apart.
Ms. Dean, you say Mr. Wilson has turned his back on your daughter and he welcomed her into the world and signed her birth certificate. You claim Mr. Wilson is her father and his denial is hurting you and your daughter.
Yes, Your Honor.
Hold on to your popcorn. Mr. Wilson is fed up, citing a history of being duped by women, which now fuels his doubt about fathering Ms. Dean's child, Jakaya. He's at his wit's end, pleading with the court for answers so he can finally close this chapter.
Your Honor, I don't believe I'm the father because I have been fooled by multiple females in the past.
What do you mean you planned it?
I have been going down this rodeo for far too long. I signed on a birth certificate. I'm not there physically. I just can't handle it because she just no consistency. I just want the answers today so I can just have closure.
Just when you thought it was intense, Ms. Dean argues that the paternity test is totally unnecessary, insisting it's crystal clear Mr. Wilson is the dad since they plan to have the baby together. As she accuses him of fabricating stories, the tension thickens.
Ms. Dean, you say this is unnecessary.
It really is. He's being not only belligerent, lying, him and his family is lying because not only did we plan this baby, we had concession. I had my period.
You had concession?
We was literally getting down, doing things. I was just...
You're gonna love this part. The plot thickens as Mr. Wilson and Ms. Dean bicker over previous agreements and romantic plans, which they hilariously refer to as concessions. Their conflicting stories paint a picture of a relationship that's more roller coaster than romance. And guess what? It gets even wilder from here.
On my Facebook page, liking my comments, my pictures, she hit me up like, what you time I was taking care of my stuff. I had my own house, car, working, things of that nature. Because I had previous relationships with her past, I was single, she was single. We decided to meet up and we met up and we planned the baby. The baby was just not a coincidence.
Get ready for a curveball. Amidst the chaos of their relationship, Mr. Wilson is there at the hospital as Jakaya is born, cutting the umbilical cord, which signifies his initial acceptance of fatherhood, despite his growing suspicions.
Tell me, Mr. Wilson, you've been informed of the pregnancy. Were you there at the birth? What happens when Jakaya was born?
I had to be there at the birth, Your Honor, because I cut the umbilical cord for her to have the baby.
Did you go to doctor's appointment, baby,
She never followed through with it.
Cut the umbilical cord?
I did 1, 2.
Did you sign the birth certificate?
Yes, I did.
You did?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, the plot thickens as Mr. Wilson stumbles upon Ms. Dean's ex, lurking in her apartment late at night. His doubts about the baby's paternity shoot through the roof. This revelation shakes the very foundation of what little trust was left.
Oh, she's always in a different room of the apartment. And I'm like, why you never around the kids? Why? She said, like, I can't talk now because my ex is here. And why is he there 11 o'clock at night if the kids got school in them?
And he knew exactly what was going on with that other guy. He don't want to take responsibility and be a man and stand up. We came over to visit. How was it 30 days we was having concessions all that time? He is lying, bro.
Grab your seats, folks. Mr. Wilson decides to confront the ex at a bus stop, seeking some semblance of truth about his relationship with Ms. Dean. The ex's revelations only add fuel to the fire of Mr. Wilson's doubts.
Told me I didn't have sex with him. He's just laying on the couch. Okay, I went with that. When I ran into him at the bus stop, I said, this is coincidence. Now I can man up and ask him face to face. What's the story in his end? If it add up to what she's telling me, I asked him, I said, is y'all having a child together? He's like, yeah. I said, what y'all be having? He said, a little girl. He went into detail. So that fueled my doubt.
This was before the baby was born?
Yes, before.
Here comes the moment of truth.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Wilson, you are not the father. Miss Faithful, stop.
In a dramatic turn of events, Ms. King steps up and claims that Mr. Porter is the biological father of their 3-year-old son, Kalen. She declares that his denial has wrecked their relationship, emphasizing the importance of today's results to clear the air and possibly mend their bond. Grab your popcorn. The courtroom drama is just heating up.
Ms. King, you are here to prove again, off again, boyfriend Mr. Porter, that your 3-year-old son, Kyle, is his biological child. You say his denial has destroyed your relationship and you need today's results set the record straightest.
Yes, Your Honor.
Here comes the curveball. Ms. King shockingly admits she faked being pregnant initially to win back Mr. Porter after their split, hoping to reignite the extinguished flames of their past romance. This bombshell revelation sends ripples through the courtroom audience. You won't believe what's coming next. Stay tuned.
And then what happens when you find find out you're pregnant, Miss King?
Told him that I was pregnant, but I really wasn't pregnant.
Miss King admits she lied and said she's pregnant. What happened?
At the time, she told me she was pregnant. So I decided, because I didn't have my father in my life, I decided I'm gonna step up to the plate regardless. I was there throughout the whole everything.
Just when you thought it couldn't get any more tangled, Ms. King drops another stunner. During the time she planned to come clean about her faux pregnancy, she actually finds herself pregnant for real. This twist not only adds a layer of irony, complicates the narrative further, showcasing her initial deceit followed by a true pregnancy. Buckle up, the roller coaster of revelations isn't over yet.
During that time that I wasn't pregnant, I actually found out that I was pregnant.
Because you was really trying to get pregnant because you knew you had lied. You worked real hard at that.
Yeah.
Because you had already lied.
How you pregnant?
But you didn't even know I was lying about my pregnancy until recently. I just came out clear and told you I even lied about being pregnant.
But you did let him know that you lied. Lie, that erodes trust.
As the plot thickens, Ms. King faces tough questioning about the possibility of other potential fathers given her earlier deception and the timeline of her pregnancy. She stoutly denies informing anyone else that they could be the father, insisting Mr. Porter is the sole candidate. What happens next will have you on the edge of your seat.
Did you ever tell any other man they potentially could be the father?
No, George was the only person that was sleeping around that I got pregnant.
Like the whole time when she was pregnant, like in the hospital, you know, giving birth to her, it was like, you could say drain, you know, so she went to sleep, her phone started to go off. You know, I'm a curious guy, something like that. I'm like, why am I
curious George?
You'll get a kick out of this. Ms. King, in an attempt to solidify her claim, presents a height chart in court, arguing that Mr. Porter must be the father because both are notably short, suggesting a genetic link to their son's stature. This piece of evidence is met with skepticism, as it's a shaky argument at best. The courtroom is about to be shaken up with the actual truth. Get ready.
Who said he's the father? My son is actually a little vertically challenged. I have a chart that I created. Would you like me to show it to you? As you can see, the average male is at 5'9". George is 5'2". Each time that I take my son to the doctor to get his wellness check, he's actually falls between the lower 3 foot 5 inches. My son is 3 feet. Me and George both are short, so it's guaranteed that my son is going to be short.
And now, the grand finale. The DNA results are in.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Porter, you are the father.
So here's a wild start. Ms. Phillips kicks things off by filing a case against Mr. Polk to prove he's the father of her 1-month-old daughter, Promise. After a thumbs up on the pregnancy, Mr. Polk has ghosted since the baby was born. Ms. Phillips is here, not just to talk, but to get some real answers about paternity and responsibilities.
Ms. Phillips, you've opened your case today to prove to Mr. Polk that he is the father of your 1-month-old daughter, Promise. You say after Mr. Polk's initial acceptance of the pregnancy, he has been MIA since your daughter's birth.
Yes, ma'am.
And the plot thickens. They delve into how their relationship started. It's a social media saga, fueled by past connections and a bit of spite. A simple friend request spirals into a full-blown relationship mess.
When she posted him, I was like, oh yeah, I'm about to go snatch him up. So I had some little friend requests with him. He started liking my pictures and inboxing me. He blowing my little inbox up.
She inboxed me first.
No, that's not
That's
true.
how I did.
So basically, you met through social media. You all ended up getting together, having sex, starting a relationship.
I was actually in a relationship, so it really wasn't that serious. I just wanted.
Just when you think you've seen it all, Ms. Phillips confronts Mr. Polk with a barrage of texts where he's apparently all in on having a baby with her, which he's now outright denying. She's not just upset, she's armed with receipts. Don't go anywhere. It escalates quickly.
We was texting every day. He was telling me he wanted me to have his baby. Yeah, I got text messages. For 2 years, he told me he wanted me to have his baby. Then I get pregnant, he wanted to deny my girl.
Were you saying you wanted her to have your baby, Mr. Polk?
No, ma'am.
He was saying that for
Probably
2 years.
a couple times.
You said a couple times. Well, let me tell you
Probably.
now, this is a flash for you. It only takes one.
Next up, some serious tea gets spilled. Ms. Phillips accuses Mr. Polk of ditching protection, contrary to his earlier claims. This points to a deeper trust issue and throws a wrench in Mr. Polk's story.
I know you don't believe here, because let me tell you, he don't like condoms. He don't like protection. He don't use
So you say you weren't protected?
No.
Tell me the story.
Never.
The first time you got together, when was that?
It was back in June in 2007.
That wasn't the first time. It was like July 4th.
Did you have sex first time you all got together, or did you go on dates?
I'm talking about straight to it.
Here's a twist you didn't see coming. Ms. Phillips drops a bombshell about getting a tattoo that reads property of Mr. Polk's name. It was meant to be a matching set, but Mr. Polk bailed on returning the gesture. As this tattoo saga unfolds, keep your eyes peeled for the next move.
Everything, because BJ was telling me, oh, if you went with him, we'll be there. I want you to have my baby. I want to be family with you. All that good stuff.
Fell for that okie.
Yeah, so I left my man. Got his name tatted on me.
Yeah, she did that. And
I got a tattoo of his name on you?
It's
She
a
did that.
property of in his name. He supposed to got my name tattooed on him, but he did, and because he's a compulsive liar. And he's a deadbeat, period.
Hold on to your seats, folks. Amidst the court drama, Ms. Phillips reveals that their relationship didn't pause for the courtroom. They've been continuing their encounters, complicating everything to another level.
And he trying to claim he cut me off, but he was catching ooh. I went to my hotel last night at 4 o'clock this morning, was getting on my nerves tonight. Says like 3 folks for him to sit in this courtroom and got a girlfriend.
She paid for both of my Uber.
No, I did not. He paid. Your Honor, he's lying.
And just when you thought it couldn't get more tangled, Mr. Polk throws in a curveball by claiming Ms. Phillips admitted to sleeping with someone else during the crucial conception period, which she awkwardly semi-confirms.
She did tell me she slept with someone else.
I did.
That's what I want to understand. Do you have doubt, Mr. Polk? You say she told you, Ms. Phillips told you slept with somebody else.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell the court.
She said, BJ, I slept with someone else. Just like that. He says me real good. Just like
when
that.
did this just come out?
Your Honor, no. Let me say.
Get ready for some clarity, or not. The judge crunches some conception dates, and Mr. Polk is smack in the middle of the probable father window. But there's also another potential dad lurking in the possible time frame.
When was Promise born?
She was born on March the 15th, but my due date was March the 22nd.
So let's calculate. Probable conception dates are between June 27th and July 1st. Possible conception dates are between June 26th and July 6th.
Look at that one.
And here comes the big reveal, folks.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Polk, you are the father.
Strap in. It's a wild ride from here. The case kicks off with Mr. Adams' mother, claiming her son is teetering on the brink of jail for unpaid child support. They're in court to debunk the claim that he's the father of a 3-year-old, aiming to keep him out of the slammer.
You claim he's on the verge of being arrested for back child support, and you're both with us to prove he's not father of the defendant's 3-year-old son in an effort to keep him out of jail.
Guess what's brewing? Ms. Adams lays out their dire situation with the urgency of a ticking time bomb. Her son could be nabbed by the cops any second for not paying child support, even though he questions his paternity.
Your Honor, my son is now facing jail because of this situation.
You're concerned that he could be arrested for failure to pay child support for a child that have doubts is even his child.
True, Your Honor.
It's getting spicy now. Mr. Adams throws shade, saying he and Ms. Williams were never an item, just a brief fling that, in his view, already says a lot about her. It's essential context because, well, the whole paternity question hinges on it.
First date, so that was a judge character right there.
You weren't in a committed relationship.
No, Your Honor.
When you met Mr. Adams, did you intend this to be a committed relationship?
Young at the time, be hooked on and off.
Hold on to your popcorn, folks. Ms. Williams drops a bombshell. She was playing the field back then, which pretty much lends credence to all the paternity doubts Mr. Adams has been harping about.
During that time, were you also sleeping with other men as well?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
Without using protection?
Yes, it's a possibility. I never said, oh, you are the father or you gonna take care of this baby.
For child support, for a child everybody agreed may or may not be his.
You thought that was juicy? Ms. Williams spins a new twist in the tale, admitting she initially tagged her ex as the daddy and didn't even consider Mr. Adams until the ex was ruled out by DNA.
No, I didn't.
You thought it was your ex, mine too, and you all went this whole process, but then you had a test, it was not your ex. So immediately then you said,
I located him and I told him it's possibility you may be the father of John.
No way, there's more. Amid the chaos, Mr. Adams is sticking to his guns, suspecting there might be other potential dads who've been in the mix. This throws another layer of doubt over the already murky paternity waters.
Well, actually, Your Honor, I feel like it was other people as well.
What evidence you have to suggest that?
Talked to Miss Williams, and that Miss Williams stated that she has tested as well.
That was my ex I had tested. There were no other guys.
Cue the facepalm moment. The reason Mr. Adams missed his DNA test? A hangover. Yep, you heard right. This isn't just a hiccup. It's a face-first dive into legal hot water, including a default paternity declaration and a child support nightmare.
Couldn't go. I was hungover. I'm not gonna lie, you know, he was hungover. All the other times that we scheduled dates, she was not probably off partying or anything, Your Honor.
But I don't know how you lay up talking about you hungover.
And then reality hits hard. Mr. Adams details his surprise arrest for unpaid child support, a stark reminder of how quickly things can spiral when paternity and legal responsibilities are in limbo. Don't go anywhere. The drama escalates.
Cigarettes, police just ran our name. Now, I didn't even know I had a warrant, so I gave them my name proud, like, come back to me like, oh, Mr. Adams. And next thing you know, he put me in the back of the car in handcuffs.
And how much time did you serve for this?
Like 10 days.
Finally, the moment of truth. No, really this time.
That Mr. Adams is not the father.
Take me off child support, baby.
buckle up for this roller coaster. Miss Renfro kicks things off with a bombshell, claiming with no shadow of a doubt that Mr. Tuesday is the father of her son Kendall, who battles a grave genetic health issue. She underlines just how crucial the paternity results are for her child's medical future. Meanwhile, Mr. Tuesday stands firm on his belief that he is not the father, eagerly awaiting the results to clear his name.
Ms. Renfro, you claim you are 100% certain that the defendant is the father of your 6-month-old son, Kendall. You say Kendall was born with a serious medical condition and believe it was genetic passed down by the defendant. And that's why today's paternity results are critical.
Yes, Your Honor.
The drama intensifies. Miss Renfro slams Mr. Tuesday for shirking financial responsibilities and not being present during critical moments of her pregnancy and Kendall's medical procedure. In a twist, Mr. Tuesday concedes to visiting just once, casting doubts about his paternity based on the baby's looks, claiming the child bears no resemblance to him.
So, Ms. Renfro, why do you believe Mr. Tuesday is denying paternity?
He don't want to take financial responsibility. He hasn't been there. He was there through my pregnancy. When I had the baby, for his surgery, he wasn't there. I contacted him, tried to let him know, and there was still nothing, no response, no.
So you're saying, Ms. Renfro, that Mr. Tuesday has shown any care, concern about...
He's never even seen my...
Did that just happen? As we delve deeper, we learn about the casual fling between Miss Renfro and Mr. Tuesday that got serious around her pregnancy announcement. Miss Renfro spills the beans on taking 7 pregnancy tests and how Mr. Tuesday ghosted her thereafter.
Give me the nature of this relationship, Ms. Renfro.
Yeah, we started out friends, like we met through mutual friends, and it was sexual, and we talked about being in a relationship, and then found out I was pregnant. I took 7 pregnancy tests.
And at that point, you say Mr. Tuesday just backed off.
Yeah, there was no contact after that. He ignored my calls, text messages. He didn't say nothing. He was like, well, who's the dad?
Hold on to your seats, folks. Miss Renfro lays out the gravity of Kendall's health issues, explaining his diagnosis with Hirschsprung's disease, which she suspects is genetically transmitted by Mr. Tuesday. She recounts the intense surgeries Kendall endured right after his birth, spotlighting the genetic stakes at play. Keep watching. The reaction to this revelation is a must-see.
My son has an issue with his stomach. He was born with what you call Hirschsprung's disease, and it's through genetics. None of my other kids have it. I had sex with him. I got pregnant, and my son had to have surgery at 6 days old.
So, Your Honor, I don't have any type of medical...
But it can be passed through your mom, your dad. It could be down the road from anybody in your family. It don't have to be necessarily from you.
The plot thickens. An emotional Miss Renfro emphasizes the dire need for Mr. Tuesday to step up owing to Kendall's health complications. She clears the air about any other potential fathers during the conception period, reinforcing her selective intimacy. The courtroom is on edge, and what comes next is jaw-dropping.
My son deserves to know who his dad is because of the issues he has with his health, responsibility for his child. I'm 100% sure. I know who my kids belong. Lay down with everybody. I don't sleep with everybody unprotected, and when I have sex with people...
And why would you have another guy signing a birth certificate?
The tension is palpable. Miss Renfro details the struggles of single motherhood, particularly managing Kendall's frequent medical crises alone. She vents her frustration over Mr. Tuesday's uncooperative stance, complicating the gathering of a full medical history for Kendall. Fasten your seatbelts. The ensuing testimony throws everything into question.
Without the man you say is biological father, and go through all of... When you're having a medical issue, everybody knows first thing they ask you is your family history. So how has this been for the last...
It's full. It's hard. My son has to see a surgeon twice a month. He's in and out of the hospital with infections in his intestines, and my son deserves to know who dad is.
You can cut the tension with a knife. Kristen, a friend of Miss Renfro, steps up, hinting at another potential father around the conception timeframe, casting a shadow of doubt over Miss Renfro's previous assertions. The courtroom is buzzing, and the implications of this testimony are about to turn heads.
State your name for the court.
I'm Kristen.
What relationship are you to Miss Renfro?
This is my best friend. I've known her for like 10 years. Tells me everything. Well, like Danielle said, that's his dad. I believe her. I believe she's a lie. You know, if there was a possibility, I think she would tell me about it. Mr. Tuesday, he's a good guy. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think he's doing this purposely because, you know, like he said, she was texting whatever, you know, texting a guy.
This is where it gets really spicy. Reflecting on the recent bombshells, Mr. Tuesday doubles down on his denial, shaped by past false paternity claims. He debates the possibility that he's not the father, given the fresh doubts aired. The judge is about to drop a truth bomb that will rock the courtroom.
I'm just thinking that I know for a fact, just say my kid.
How do you know? That don't prove nothing because who I slept with, that don't mean nothing. I used a condom, so there is no other option to cheat.
But you were sleeping around though.
I wasn't sleeping around. If we wasn't together, it don't matter who I was sleeping with.
Miss Renfro, it does matter though.
Here comes a curveball.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Tuesday, you are not father.
Yes!
Oops.
Told you!
Oops.
Buckle up for a wild ride from the get-go. Miss McDowell kicks things off by staunchly asserting that her 1-month-old daughter Annabelle is undeniably her husband's child. She's all in, claiming the conception timeline syncs perfectly with their encounters. On the flip side, Mr. McDowell throws major shade, labeling his wife a cheater and pointing fingers at Mr. Alfred, the new guy, as the likely dad. He's itching to bolt from the marriage if the DNA test shows Annabelle isn't his.
Ms. McDowell, you say you have no doubt 1-month-old daughter Annabelle is your husband's biological child because you claim you only had sex with Mr. McDowell the window of conception. Mr. McDowell, you say you're nothing but a cheater and you believe the man she left for, Mr. Alfred, is in fact Annabelle's father. Say that once the DNA was proved the child is not yours, you want out of this marriage.
Yes, Your Honor.
Strap in for some soap opera level revelations from Mr. McDowell. He's playing the single dad card hard, juggling their other kids and coping with his wife's alleged escapades. He recounts a tale of deception where Miss McDowell fibbed about crashing at a friend's place, only for him to learn she was cozying up with another man.
The children we have lost their mother, a single father at the moment. I'm taking care of them by myself. It all went down like she just one day told me she was going to go to her friend, a female friend's house in a few hours.
That's not true.
And then she called me later that night that she was going to end up spending the night. Well, the next day, the friend she went go spend the night with, she walked into the home, called her, Miss McDowell, her boyfriend, on the couch cuddling.
Grab your popcorn for this bombshell of a calendar expose. Miss McDowell lays down the law with a calendar marked with intimate dates, trying to pin down the father based on her tryst with Mr. McDowell and Mr. Alfred. She's all about proving Mr. McDowell's paternity during what she calls the critical conception window, despite her romantic rendezvous with others.
I have proof here that yes, I did. We had sex on the 27th, and also I had sex with Mr. Alfred on the 9th and the 10th of November. And then I also have, from what my midwife told me, my conceiving week, and that's the week I had sex with Mr. McDowell.
It shows on 27th of October, you were intimate with your husband.
Things just got real personal. Enter stage left, Mr. McDowell's mom, Miss Combs, who's none too pleased with the ongoing drama. She spills the beans on reluctantly supporting Miss McDowell through her pregnancy while doubting the whole grandchild narrative. Her frustration is palpable, painting a picture of manipulation and financial exploitation.
Well, it's not my grandchild.
May I say one more thing? We had a court scheduled I was walking down the hallway, I was running late for court. She did not know where I was. I tucked in behind the corner to where no one could see me, that she knew the child wasn't mine and that she was.
He asked me if
why does
Mr. McDowell's child?
You won't believe what comes next. Mr. Alfred steps into the fray, stirring the pot by questioning his own potential paternity and suggesting another mystery man might be in the running. His candid revelations add layers to the already tangled narrative, suggesting nothing is as simple as it seems. As the court digests his bombshells, the emotional roller coaster is far from over. Next up, heartstrings will be tugged.
Do you believe your baby Annabelle biological father?
Personally, believe me or Michael, either one or the father. I think it might be the gentleman that she was with before she tried to work things out with Mike.
What's interesting here is you say the baby's your husband. Husband says the baby's your love, and your lover says the baby by another.
The emotional stakes are sky high as the curtain rises on this act. As the case winds down, Miss McDowell and Mr. Alfred make their final, impassioned pleas, reflecting on their fraught relationship, the uncertain future of little Annabelle. They lay bare their hopes and fears, setting the stage for a climax filled with potential heartbreak or relief.
I have custody
the first
of the
5 months
prior
of her pregnancy,
3 kids.
she believed that it was Mr. McDowell's up until the 6th month. She tried to claim that it was mine. I personally believe that she was trying to see who would take her in and support
Who would give her the most?
Like I said, I don't believe the baby's mine. I hope the results are different because, like I said, we are in a relationship together.
So you want the child to be yours, but you don't believe the child is yours.
Yes, ma'am.
And now, the moment we've all been on the edge of our seats for.
Mr. McDowell or Mr. Alfred is the biological father. Mr. Alfred, you are her father.
Thank God.
Miss Dallas brings Mr. Stewart to court to establish paternity for her 1-month-old son, Lamar. She is utterly gobsmacked Mr. Stewart is denying paternity, especially given his shady behavior, which suggests he's been leading a double life. Miss Dallas is adamant that it's actually Mr. Stewart who's been playing games, not her.
Miss Dallas, you have dragged Mr. Stewart into court today to prove that he is the father of your newborn son, 1-month-old Lamar. You say you are shocked that he's denying he's baby Lamar's biological dad, especially since you discovered he's the one a double life.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Stewart counters Miss Dallas's claim, suggesting her possibly dubious fidelity has made the paternity of baby Lamar a big question mark. Miss Dallas takes us back to the start of their relationship, from a serendipitous breakfast encounter to a secretive affair shrouded by Mr. Stewart's marital status kept under wraps.
Mr. Stewart, you claim that it's Miss Dallas been far from faithful, and you believe that baby Lamar's dad any one of multiple men. So Miss Dallas, take us to your relationship before you found out about Mr. Stewart's alleged double life.
Cedric with Mr. Stewart, June of 2016. Out having breakfast with my friend, probably about 6 o'clock in the morning. He walked up to me.
The confrontation heats up as Miss Dallas questions Mr. Stewart about why he hid his marital status during their initial dating phase. Mr. Stewart admits he misled her, keeping his marriage a secret until she pressed him for answers, claiming they were separated and almost divorced.
I'm like, you got a girlfriend? He like, no. I'm like, you have a baby mom there? He like, no. You got a wife? And then he was like, yeah. So he proceeded to tell me like, oh, they are separated, they going through a divorce.
Date her casually, have sex with her, and finally, only later tell her that you were married?
It didn't quite go like that.
How did it go?
You know, it didn't come up.
Mr. Stewart spills the beans about pretending to be single and fesses up to being married without pursuing a divorce as he had implied. This bombshell forces Miss Dallas to reflect on how his dishonesty has affected their relationship and her decision to stay with him even after discovering the truth.
So you were out there acting like a single man, but you were married?
Yes.
Were you getting a divorce then?
I wasn't in, you know, I didn't have it filed, but in my head, yeah, I was getting a divorce.
In your head. That means you were still married?
Yeah.
How often did you see one another? If you're married with your wife at home?
Oh, that's it. Every day.
Come over there when he get off work. Only time he probably house and when he went to go change his clothes or put on his work clothes.
Tensions escalate with the pregnancy bombshell as Miss Dallas, now fully aware of Mr. Stewart's marital status, grapples with her emotions and the whirlwind of promises he continues to make. She chooses to stick with Mr. Stewart, swayed by his vows despite the complex web of their situation.
Yes, I did have second thoughts, but once things started hitting more, like I was already pregnant. I love Cedric, you know. He was telling me like, I'm gonna do the divorce, we're gonna have a house, you know, all this, we're gonna raise our son together. I was believing him because that's to do was believe him, you know.
So he had you high on promises and drunk off the dream.
The conversation turns to Mr. Stewart's initial joy about the pregnancy, which soon morphs into doubt amid whispers of Miss Dallas's alleged infidelities. External meddling and scandalous photos sent by a supposed friend throw even more shade on Miss Dallas's loyalty.
We have no kids.
But you have 3 children from a previous relationship. How long have you been married?
10 years.
Start beginning doubt, so-called my shit was telling him and his wife been around with 2 men when I conceived Lamar. But it was the same friend that sent him get pictures of herself to telling him that I was sleeping around with somebody else. So why wouldn't she want to sleep with you?
Miss Stewart, Mr. Stewart's wife, joins the courtroom, shedding light on her view of the timeline and nature of her husband's affair with Miss Dallas. She confronts the tales spun in court and expresses her own heartache and frustration with both her husband and Miss Dallas.
This testimony is troubling.
Very troubling, and it was not true.
What part of the testimony?
How they met. Cedric met her online.
And so you believe he was actually looking for a relationship outside the marriage?
I wouldn't say a relationship, but...
Do you believe Miss Dallas knew married from the beginning?
I wouldn't say from the beginning, but she very, very early.
In the midst of the paternity debate, we discover that Mr. Stewart and Miss Dallas are currently living together, kind of. Their on-again, off-again living situation and ongoing disputes highlight the confusion and chaos of their relationship.
So you and Miss Dallas, you live together?
We kind of, you know what I mean?
We live together, but you go back and forth.
We moved in together. We go back and forth. Like, she done moved out.
You all divorced or still married?
Legally, we're still married.
Roberta knows what Roberta has to do for herself at this point. Cedric has 3 children of his own that he has neglected to take care of her children.
No.
The court digs into the confusing pregnancy timeline, which both women use to bolster their arguments. The spotlight on Mr. Stewart's shifty behavior underscores his pivotal role in the ongoing conflict, painting a picture of a man who has stirred up significant turmoil. And now comes the moment we've all been waiting for.
The issue about the timeline, though.
Because I'm big, you know, they was going off the measurement of my belly. I didn't start showing until I was like 8 months really getting a round belly or whatever, but the measurements were off, but the ultrasound right on point.
It has been determined by this court. Stewart, you are the father.
Told you. I ain't got no reason to lie.
Can you believe this? Ms. Polson breaks down the reason they're all gathered in court today. She's determined to prove that Mr. Callender is indeed the father of her daughter, Zoe, despite his persistent denial due to her past infidelities. She's here not just to clear the air, but to save what's left of their roller coaster relationship. You've got to see what's coming up next.
Ms. Polson, you've summoned Ms. of salvaging what is left of your relationship. You say he denies your daughter Zoe, but today you intend to prove paternity.
Yes, Your Honor.
You say you love and have created a bond with her, but Ms. Polson has a cheating past, and that is why you are convinced aren't Zoe's father.
That's correct.
Hold on to your popcorn, folks. Mr. Callender lays out his doubts about being Zoe's father, blaming a dark cloud of uncertainty that's been looming over their relationship. This unresolved issue of paternity is a constant battle, stirring up strife and tension. Just wait for the drama that unfolds after this.
It's like a dark cloud hovering over us, keeping us, I think it's preventing us from moving forward. Just the uncertainty, not knowing 100% that I'm her father.
Specifically, how is it affecting your relationship with Mr. Calendar?
It keeps us in constant turmoil, constant fussing and fighting over it. I'm just ready for it to be clarified, for it to be done.
Here's where it gets spicy. They dive into how their relationship rekindled. They started chatting again when Ms. Polzin was technically still in another relationship, thanks to Mr. Calendar reaching out on Facebook. The complications just keep piling up from here. Brace yourselves for the next bit.
Did you know she was in another relationship when you pursued her?
But she said they were separate, living in different rooms, and she was in the process of moving her things out of the residence.
So you thought this relationship pretty much over?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Did you hack around though?
She would come see me on lunch breaks, you know, after she got off work.
Absolutely jaw-dropping. We get into the nitty-gritty of when Ms. Polzin announced her pregnancy just a week after she moved out from her previous beau's place. Mr. Calendar can't help but worry about the messy timeline and the lingering question. Could her ex still be in the picture? The plot thickens immensely in the next clip.
Well, it was about a week after she had moved into her apartment after getting most of her things out of the residence.
A week?
But I was only having sexual contact with Mr. Calendar. Me and my were living in separate rooms. We had a lot of asset work out between that relationship.
Finally gets out from relationship with the ex and a week later says to you, I'm pregnant.
This part pulls on the heartstrings, but keeps you chuckling. Despite all his reservations, Mr. Calendar was right there in the delivery room, showing up for not only the birth, but nearly every prenatal checkup. Talk about commitment. But don't relax just yet. The emotional roller coaster is just getting started.
Take me to the birth. When Zoe was born, were you there, Calendar?
Yes, Your Honor.
You participated. Showed up for the birth?
That and mostly every doctor visit.
Every doctor. So even though you were doubtful, you participated?
Yes, Your Honor.
Because you wanted to be there?
I wanted to be there for the baby and for Rachel.
When she was born, did you sign her birth certificate?
They wouldn't allow me to.
Cue the waterworks and a bit of laughter. Mr. Calendar's mom, Ms. Allen, steps up to the plate, hoping against hope that her son really is Zoe's dad. Her testimony brings a mix of tears and heartfelt moments, painting a picture of the deep bonds at stake. The tension is about to ramp up even more, so stay tuned.
Step over to the podium. State your name for the court.
Karen Allen.
Miss Allen, what relationship are you to Mr. Calendar?
I'm his mother.
You are his mother. What do you know about the paternity surrounding baby Zoe? Do you believe you're...
I hope and pray that yes, we have very strong bond.
And I can see how emotional that makes you. You love the baby?
Yes, ma'am. This relationship started with a hot mess.
Get ready for some eyebrow-raising theories. Ms. Polzin steps forward with her personal exhibit, arguing why she believes Mr. Calendar has to be the father. She lists physical similarities and shared behaviors that she thinks make a compelling case, even though it's all still up in the air without DNA proof. What happens next will definitely catch you off guard.
These are reasons why I believe that Mr. Calendar is the father. Him and Zoe both have the same attitude. They are very particular about things, such as the way they like foods and things like that, and they don't get their way. They'll throw a fit till they get what they want. I do not act like that.
Same temperament?
Yes.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Calendar, you are the father.
The courtroom is buzzing from the start. Ms. Jackson accuses Mr. Figures of being a Casanova who left her after a brief romance, resulting in a pregnancy. She firmly believes that he is the biological father of her son, Neil, and has been searching for him for 2 decades to prove paternity. If you think this is intense, just wait till you hear what's next. Buckle up, it's quite the ride.
Ms. Jackson, you say Figures was a smooth-talking Casanova who swept you off feet and out of your clothes and then left you with a baby. You claim he appeared 20 years ago, and now you want to prove that he is definitely your son, Daniil's biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
The plot thickens early on. Mr. Figures, maintaining his composure, acknowledges his past as a ladies' man, but firmly denies being the father of Ms. Jackson's child. He questions the likelihood of him being Daniil's father, given his past relationships. But don't go anywhere. The twists are just getting started.
You admit to being a former ladies' man. You say there's no way you fathered Ms. Jackson's child.
Yes, Your Honor.
As the narrative unfolds, the emotional layers deepen. Ms. Jackson recounts how she met Mr. Figures at a young age while searching for love and companionship. She describes her immediate physical attraction to him, which she clarifies was infatuation, not love. Strap in, because the drama is about to escalate.
I had a baby at 16. I couldn't take care of her. So my family actually told me, go better yourself. Go to job or do what you need to do. Look for love in all the wrong places. I met him like on maybe a Friday or Saturday night. When I saw him, the long, curly black hair, he was gorgeous.
Things are getting juicier by the minute. A discussion about their past relationship relationship reveals that Ms. Jackson and Mr. Figures had unprotected intimate violence encounters, which Ms. Jackson asserts led to her pregnancy. Mr. Figures reluctantly confirms this, but remains skeptical about his paternity. The next part is a real doozy. Stay tuned.
So the bottom line, you all did have a sexual relationship. So Mr. Figures, you acknowledge that?
Yes, ma'am.
You did. Did you use protection? Were you guys using protection at the time?
Well, no, ma'am, we didn't.
No.
I definitely know it wasn't just me.
You'll want to lean in for this bit. Mr. Figures describes a specific intimate moment they shared outdoors, which he refers to as the green grass, a nickname for their private rendezvous. Ms. Jackson corroborates the story, remembering the cute nicknames they used. But hang tight, the story takes a wild turn just ahead.
We used to have these little things that was called a green grass. We could go out, pick a spot, get to know each other, per se. That's what we did one night. At that time, when you're younger, sometimes people change their names, have these, call yourself little nicknames or whatever. So at that time, that was me. She remember. I had another friend also. His name was
Mustafa.
She got a good memory.
Here's where things really start to heat up. A dramatic revelation occurs when Mr. Figures recalls an incident during intimacy where Ms. Jackson mistakenly called out another man's name, suggesting she may have been involved with someone else, which she vehemently denies. Don't wander off. What comes next will definitely raise some eyebrows.
She calls my name twice. Third time, she called his name.
Oh!
Now I admit I didn't stop because we was in the middle of but
It is so lying.
really? And to this day, she'll say she doesn't remember that.
Do you remember that part?
No.
Brace yourself for more revelations. When Ms. Jackson discovers she is pregnant, Mr. Figures is one of the potential fathers she considers. However, she also mentions another man who was supportive during her pregnancy, causing confusion about the child's paternity. The plot thickens, and the truth is about to come to light.
You know what I'm saying? They gave me a pregnancy test. I'm stunned. I'm actually in shock. I don't have my family. Really trying to focus
had another
on
guy that she was dealing with. Why you coming to me
dealing with. But dealing with someone, meaning he had my back. Don't meaning we having sex.
This part tugs at the heartstrings. Daniil, the son in question, expresses his frustration and disappointment about growing up without a father. He discusses the emotional and social challenges he faced, highlighting the absence of a paternal figure in his life. But just when you think it's all out in the open, there's more to uncover.
Totally different from sexing this man.
Come on.
Put it like this. If this man, because I get in contact with him at any time, if he knew that this was his child, why would I be doing this after 20 years? You know what I'm saying?
Because maybe
if
you don't
look
know.
at my son, look at this man, there's no way in God's green earth anybody could ever think that this other man is his.
The court session intensifies as Daniil explains the strong bond he shares with his mother due to their struggles. He expresses a lack of interest in establishing a relationship with Mr. Figures, regardless of the DNA test outcome. Keep your eyes peeled, the climax is just around the corner. The moment everyone's been waiting for is finally here.
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Figures, you are not the father.
Oh my God.
Buckle up, folks! Ms. Adams kicks things off with a bombshell, explaining her entanglement in a love triangle while firmly declaring Mr. Spencer as the father of her twins. She's all in, ready to prove his paternity today in court. If you thought this was juicy, just wait for what's next.
Ms. Adams, you say you were in a love triangle and now the defendant doesn't believe he fathered your 13-month-old twins. You testify that you are 100% certain he is. Plan to prove it today in court.
Yes, Your Honor.
Hold on to your coffee. Mr. Spencer throws a curveball of doubt about his fatherhood, hinting another dude might be the real daddy, and plans to ghost Ms. Adams if the test says he's not the father. Strap in, because the roller coaster is just getting started.
You say the plaintiff needs to make up her mind about who her child's father is. You state that another man claiming the babies were his. You say when the results reveal you are not father, plan to cut off all communication.
Yes, Your Honor.
You can't make this up. Ms. Adams spills the tea on how she got tangled in the love web, painting a picture of her post-breakup vulnerability and her casual fling with Mr. Spencer that led nowhere fast. The twists keep coming, so keep your eyes peeled.
Well, to be honest with you, I got caught up in a love triangle because with the same man for 13 years, I had separated, kind of going through my vulnerable stage and things like I had went out actually one day, to the bar. That's when I had met Marquis. Started, having dealings with each other and things like that.
You were in a long-standing relationship and then you broke up. And during that time, intimate with Mr. Spencer.
Things just got real. We dive into when Ms. Adams discovered she was pregnant and how she was so sure Mr. Spencer was the dad, she even told his family right off the bat. What happens next is even more mind-boggling.
So take me to the point where you find out you're pregnant.
I had found out I was pregnant during the time that Keith Spencer had went away. Found out that same week that I was pregnant.
Point you found out you were pregnant, who did you tell?
I told a family member of Marquis Spencer I was currently pregnant and that I needed him immediately.
Told Mr. Spencer's family member?
Yes.
Did that just happen? As external pressures mount, Ms. Adams recounts how her ex's family threw her certainty for a loop, making her second guess the twins' paternity. It's a tangled web that's about to get even more knotted.
But what happened, the way that my ex came into the picture is because once I had the babies, pictures went out on the internet. That's when my ex-mother called me and said that those are my grandbabies, just like my son.
Had you been thinking of that in the back of your mind all
Never.
this time?
I was starting to hear it so much. I was getting so many phone calls from like my ex side of the family and everything about the boy. Marianne, they were saying he looked like my ex and everything.
No way she didn't. In a plot twist, Miss Adams admits to playing both sides, telling both Mr. Spencer and her ex that they might be the daddy, all to maneuver her way back into her ex's arm. The emotional whirlwind doesn't stop here, folks.
Where are you in the story? You're telling both men now is their twin?
After I had the babies, Marquis was around for the first month. Throughout that whole month, it was like so much drama. It was like all over again. When I got that phone call from his mom called him, so he called me and was like, Christian, I'm hearing that it's a chance those babies are mine. Is that true?
Grab your popcorn. Tensions escalate as Mr. Spencer and the twins' grandmother hash it out in court, exposing the deep emotional rifts and the messy battle over who's the real father. The big reveal is up next, and it's a doozy.
The first week that they was born, Kristen's mom called me. So she said, by now, look, take a look at the babies. Look at these, there's something ain't right. So she sent me the pictures. So I'm like, oh my God. I started sending them through the family, and the family's like, oh my God, these babies. So as I talked to Kristen, are you sure? We just left here at the end of December. You said you met Keith in February.
Brace for impact.
It has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Spencer.
Buckle up, here we go. Mr. Calhoun kicks off the courtroom drama by alleging Ms. Prout bamboozled him into believing he's the father of her daughter, Amia, while also playing the field with other guys. He's dead set on proving through DNA that he's not the dad. Let's see how that pans out. Next scene is a doozy.
This is a case of Calhoun versus Prout.
Mr. Calhoun, you say the defendant tried to trick you into believing you are her daughter Amaya's biological father. But after uncovering evidence that she slept with other men, you are positive the DNA will prove you are not.
Yes, Your Honor.
Can you believe this? Mr. Calhoun spills the tea about his rocky roller coaster of a relationship with Ms. Prout, emphasizing how he put the brakes on when she wanted to get serious. Despite cutting romantic ties, their casual rendezvous didn't exactly stop, if you catch my drift. Oh, and just wait for what's up next. It's quite the eyebrow raiser.
Mr. Calhoun, you say Ms. Prout is pinning this child on you?
Yes, Your Honor.
Why?
Me and Miss Prout have been friends for a while. When I seen that she wanted to make a relationship out of things, I cut her off, and I just kind of pushed away from her.
How did you cut her off?
I stopped calling, stopped answering her calls and text, pretty much ignored her existence.
Because she wanted to get serious.
Yes, ma'am.
Just when you thought it couldn't get more tangled, Ms. Prout walks us through the saga of her pregnancy discovery and the mutual shock shared with Mr. Calhoun, leading to his push for a DNA test. This highlight reels us deeper into Mr. Calhoun's doubts about daddy duty. Hang on, because it only gets wilder from here.
And at some point you found out you were pregnant?
Yes, ma'am. Me and a family member of his, we went to the store, I bought a pregnancy test, went back to his house, took the test, it was positive. The next day I told him and showed him the test. We were both in disbelief, Your Honor, that I was pregnant. Somewhere in there, you believed that I was pregnant because you wanted a DNA test.
Grab your popcorn, folks. As the plot thickens, Mr. Calhoun throws a curveball by accusing Ms. Prout of using fertility treatments to trap him, which she vehemently denies. The accusation sends their already stormy dispute into overdrive, unraveling layers of mistrust and drama. You'll be glued to your seat for what comes next.
After I found out that she said she was pregnant, I blocked her on all social media and everything because I thought she was crazy. She called me and said that she had took fertility medicine to get pregnant by me, and she got exactly what she wanted out of me.
No, Your Honor, that was not what said. I did not take any fertility pills. Once I found out I was pregnant, I went to about 4 or 5 in the emergency room, and they all confirmed I was pregnant. I was still in disbelief, went 3 clinics.
Next up, we've got some serious calendar scrutiny. Ms. Prout lays out the timeline with a calendar in court, pointing to specific dates that supposedly seal the deal on Mr. Calhoun's paternity. He retorts with suspicions of her liaisons with other beaus. This calendar clash is just heating up. Brace yourself for the fallout.
The calendar you submitted to the court. Yes, the red indicates that you were intimate with Mr. Calhoun unprotected, and the yellow indicates the window of conception. So as you can see, the day you said you had with Mr. Calhoun directly in the window of conception.
Yes.
And that's why you believe he is the father of your child.
Yes.
You won't see this coming. Mr. Calhoun recounts the high-pressure moment he was allegedly strong-armed into signing the birth certificate under duress, highlighting his ongoing paternity doubts and the emotional whirlwind at the hospital. The stakes are high, and the next bit will have you reeling.
How how did you end up signing the birth certificate?
So we're in there by ourselves. Told her I didn't want to sign without a DNA test. So she gets to basically making me feel like a bad guy. Like, you know, you had unprotected sex with me. You know, this your daughter. I even look at the papers and see like she didn't even have my last name and daughter's last name. I had to tell her like, if this is daughter you want me to sign, put my name on there.
And the plot thickens even more. Demetria Dawson, the god sister, steps up with a bombshell testimony, suggesting Ms. Prout might have been preggers before Mr. Calhoun re-entered the picture. This revelation throws another wrench into the already chaotic narrative. Fasten your seatbelts. This ride's not over.
Ms. Dawson, you are what relationship Prout?
God sister.
You are her god sister. Information as to what the relationship between Ms. Prout and Mr. Calhoun.
God sister was having unprotected sex with another man. Also, before he came into the picture, myself and also other members felt that my god sister was already pregnant because of her demeanor, her mood change. She was very moody.
Get ready for the jaw dropper.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Calhoun, you are the father.
Buckle up, because this opening is just the tip of the iceberg. The episode kicks off with the introduction of the case Rogers versus Stone by the court clerk and a light-hearted greeting exchange. Ms. Rogers claims Mr. Stone, her childhood friend turned elementary school sweetheart, is the father of her son, Christian, despite his adamant denials and accusations of her promiscuity. You won't believe what comes next.
You say after an encounter with elementary school sweetheart, you ended up pregnant. You say the defendant has gone through great lengths to deny he is the father of your son, Christian. You say Ms. Rogers is promiscuous. It was only a casual fling. You say she has even slept with some of your friends, and therefore it is impossible you are the father of her baby.
Yes, Your Honor.
Strap in. The emotional roller coaster is just starting. Ms. Rogers vividly describes a serendipitous reunion with Mr. Stone at a friend's house, leading to a complex, intimate violence relationship. She paints a picture of confusion and hurt after discovering he had a girlfriend, which ultimately snapped the thread of their communication. And just when you think it couldn't get more tangled, watch out for the next clip.
I met him in elementary school. We was friends. I kind of moved away after a while, close friends, but you know, we never kept in touch because one day after some years of being apart, I was at my friend's house, or I was at her boyfriend's house, chilling, and he walked through the door, and I'm like, really? We was talking, laughing, joke times, how you been, catching up and stuff. We went back to my friend's house with her boyfriend, and we had sex that day.
Can you handle more twists? Watch this heated clash, where Ms. Rogers and Mr. Stone passionately dispute the events of their fateful reunion and what followed at the friend's house. Accusations flaze about Ms. Rogers' interactions with other men, which she vehemently denies, sparking even more tension and conflicting stories. Hold tight, because the fireworks are just getting started.
When I walked into that house, it was at one of my friends' house. And when I walked in, she was already hugged up with one of my friends.
I was not hooked up with nobody. When he walked in the door, I was sitting at the table. The friend that he was talking about was in the kitchen. I was not sitting on nobody's lap.
And we caught eyes. She was on his lap. And
I was not
like
on
I
his
said,
lap.
we ended up talking.
He can make you believe I was.
Just when you thought it was cooling down, the conversation veers into the repercussions of their fleeting relationship, with Ms. Rogers alleging she was deceived by Mr. Stone about his relationship status, adding layers of complication to their already chaotic interactions. Mr. Stone counters her claims with doubts about her honesty, hinting at deep-seated trust issues. Guess what? The next part ramps it up even further.
Your friends were talking, and you all basically compared notes?
No, what happened was that
all lying together.
I knew Destiny for a while, you feel me? So I was like, you talked to her? He like, yeah, I talked to her. We did this, we did that. So I'm like, oh, really? So I'm like, when was this? He broke it down to me like, yeah, we did it the day before. I want to say 3 days after. Told me she was pregnant. He want to say they did it around twice.
Grab your popcorn. This twist is jaw-dropping. Ms. Rogers details her shocking discovery of pregnancy during a routine doctor's visit, setting the stage for a major confrontation about responsibilities and expectations of parenthood. Mr. Stone disputes her narrative, especially concerning their discussions, or the lack thereof, about the pregnancy. The stakes are high, and the next revelation is even more dramatic.
How'd you find out you were pregnant?
I went to the doctor to get my birth control shot. I know I'm having sex, so I'm like, I need to go because I don't want to have no more kids. I didn't want no more kids because I had just gotten something. Everything was looking up. So I was like, I wanted like the cap on before anything happened, not knowing that I was already pregnant. Another baby. I called him and told him I was pregnant.
We never had a conversation.
No.
Not one.
What
happened was, this particular day, I was in the car with one of my friends. He pulled up on me.
Get ready for the bombshell.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Stone, you are not the father.
Buckle up, folks. Miss Chappelle, a married woman, casually drops the bomb that she had an affair. And now she's got major doubts about the paternity of her 5-month-old daughter. She lays out the messy situation with a mix of nerves and regret. And oh boy, you won't believe the curveball that's coming next. The judge brings in Miss Chappelle's dad, Mr. Wells, who's absolutely against opening this can of worms today. He shares a tearjerker about the chaos that erupted in their family the last time they went down this road. Hold on to your seats because this emotional roller coaster is just getting started. Super heavy. Mr. Wells, with years of baggage weighing him down, argues against revealing the paternity results, fearing a repeat of past family drama. Despite his pleas, the Chappelles are dead set on uncovering the truth. Just wait till you see what's around the corner. Some excitement outside her marriage, which she regrets. But hey, she loves her daughter to bits. Brace yourselves because the story's about to get juicier.
I do regret it every day, but I don't regret my daughter. She's the best thing that's ever happened to me.
So you admit to having an affair?
Yes, I did.
Oh, the scandal. Miss Chappelle spills all the tea. Violence. The timeline she sketches out of her rendezvous with both her lover and her husband makes pinpointing daddy a real head scratcher. You'll want to stick around for the fallout from this bombshell.
Messages on Facebook. I dropped my son off at the babysitter's. I would tell my husband I was going somewhere else.
About playing with fire. Miss Chappelle admits the risks she took with unprotected, intimate violence, and the courtroom practically gasps in unison. As the reality of her decision sinks in, get ready, because this tale is about to throw another wild card into the mix.
Always unprotected sex. I figured he would pull out, but he never did. And I would tell him constantly, I don't want to get pregnant, and he would never listen to me. I was unhappy, and you didn't want to listen to me.
Exactly, that's the magic.
And that's what got where we're at today.
Get the popcorn ready. Mr. Chappelle's world is rocked by the affair revelation, and the possibility of not being the father adds salt to the wound. His agony is almost too much to watch. And just when you think it can't get more intense, the next revelation is a doozy.
Unprotected sex, you could have gave me something. You know, there's stuff out there you could have caught.
Who would have thought? In a bizarre twist, both potential dads were initially in the running to be included in the prenatal appointments. This messy decision highlights the turmoil swirling around Miss Chappelle as she grapples with guilt and the impact of her choices. But wait, there's more chaos to come.
Fight a lot, we argued a lot.
I tried to cover it up the best I could.
Support her through the entire pregnancy.
Yes.
You go to doctor's visit.
We tried to invite the other guy at first. He was okay with it at first.
Your Honor.
And I told him, I said, you know, this guy kept making excuses not to show up. My husband, he's like, hold on.
Things are heating up. Following the affair's exposure, the couple's relationship hits rock bottom. Miss Chappelle moves back with her family, marking a significant turn in this soap opera. The drama doesn't end here, though. The next part is a real jaw-dropper.
Whenever I told him I was pregnant, I had gotten into an argument. We were on the way home.
Room is all ears as the couple navigates the tricky waters of inviting the other man to prenatal visit. The implications for their child's future and their own marriage are enormous. Grab your tissues, because what happens next will tug at your heartstrings.
Got our marriage with another man at the doctor's office.
I understand that, but you have to trying to do the right thing for my little girl. I wanted her to know, well, there's a chance somebody else. Why didn't you introduce him to me?
Did not see that coming. The other man turns out to be married too, adding an extra layer of scandal. Mr. Chappelle doesn't shy away from confronting the other man's wife with the messy truth. And trust me, you'll want to see how she reacts. Coming up next.
You all didn't say this other man was married.
Yeah.
No wonder he was.
I even told his wife on. I sent her a message on Facebook.
So, you sent his wife a message?
I didn't want nothing from him.
The truth is, we did surround and he might have a baby.
Miss Chappelle really lays it all out there, owning up to her affair and the ensuing mess. Her honesty against a backdrop of secrecy paints a poignant picture of her attempt to mend fences. The stakes are high, and the next scene will have you on the edge of your seat.
I did come out, everything he about my affair, I did come out and tell him.
Mr. Chappelle, at some point you say you went to the house.
Yes, Your Honor.
Talked to this wife and told her what was going on. And her response, she still didn't believe.
She said that they didn't do anything. I said, you'll find out.
Tell me about the birth of the baby. Did the man show up?
The arrival of the baby adds a whole new layer of complexity. As both parents pore over her features, trying to detect familial resemblances, the suspense is thicker than a mystery novel. But don't go anywhere. The climax of this courtroom drama is just moments away.
And this is a picture of the baby.
That's when she was first born.
When you saw her, did you look at her and say, I wonder, does she look like me?
I saw the blonde curly hair and kind of gave me excitement about it because I knew I had curly hair when I was a baby.
When I first saw her, I thought that kind of looked like the other guy hair when they were younger. So that's what gave us like the doubt.
It's the moment of truth everyone's been waiting for.
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Chappelle